Hello, sixth grade innovators. This is Mr. Chamberlain here, and if you're joining me, that means that you survived getting the little LED to blink. Might have been super easy for some of you, might have been super frustrating for some of you, but I guarantee that you probably learned a lot. So, I got some bad news. It's not going to get any easier. It's going to get way cooler, but it's not going to be easier. This next one we're going to do, the traffic light, is the hardest thing that you will do on the Raspberry Pi. But if you accomplish it, and when you accomplish it, it is going to feel very satisfying. You're going to feel like a true hacker, I guarantee you. So, thinking back to the last one we did, we made a simple circuit, basically, with our Raspberry Pi. We sent electricity from pin number 17 along the wire, through the LED, along a resistor, and then back again to a ground. That was very easy. It was just kind of like plugging in a battery, making it go on and off. We are going to basically jack up that same idea with this, a traffic light. So I'm going to actually put this in the very dead center here, make it as big as I can for you, because this is the setup that we're going to have here. I think I can get it a little bit bigger. No, I can't. That's fine. Oh, yeah, there we go. So you're going to have to grab a whole bunch of stuff, and right off the bat, you're going to notice a couple weird things. We have the wires before. We're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 wires. We're going to have 1, 2, 3 bulbs. And you can choose to do traffic light colors or not. We're going to have 1, 2, 3 resistors. And then we actually have 3 more. 1, 2, 3 wires. But these are supposed to be wires just like these. We have long wires, but in one of our separate boxes, we have little small wires that actually are only made to go a short distance. So feel free to grab some of those too. You're going to notice right off the bat that the breadboard, if you look carefully, the breadboard is upside down. You've got red on the right outside and blue on the left outside. So when you're setting this whole monster thing up, keep in mind that the breadboard is upside down. That might be a reason that it messes up. If you're wondering too, on here, on the spot, the little comb area of the Pi, that's kind of hard to see through your screen where the things need to go. So I'll tell you, if you actually look at the code that we're about to write, I can tell you which pins they are. This one here, this first one is a ground, kind of like we did before. And then these 3 pins are numbers 21, 20, and 16. So kind of keeping this all up here is an even better thing for you to see. This first one is a ground, and then we've got 21, 20, and 16. So I'm going to say grab everything, set this whole beast up, do it right the first time if you can. Remember these little things, like everything has to be going in a row. Everything that builds off each other stays in the same row. Remember, we've got the long leg of the bulb starting in the circuit, and the short leg of the bulb is on the back side. So I'm going to say pause your video, and please set it up to look like this. Okay. If you've set it up and you're feeling confident, like everything looks good, now we're going to write the code. It's not too much different than last time. It's a little more, but everything that we've already learned is just going to be re-explained. So like before, I'm going to go to my Raspberry in the corner to programming. We do everything through Python 3. When I click to open mine, it's going to be like giant screen, which is just so it's easier for you to see when you're typing it. I did that on purpose. So you might remember this is called the shell. That's just where it shows us any errors or what it's actually doing. We actually have to file, open a new one. So now I have a new one that I can actually write my code in. I'm going to write a little bit faster this time, just because you can pause as we go along, and I'll talk to you about it as we go. So right off the bat, from GPIO 0, import LED. Remember all the capitals. Remember to spell it exactly the same. Enter. From time, import sleep. Spell everything right. Use capitals if there's capitals. Now, if you remember last time, we said we were assigning an LED bulb. We said my LED was LED 17 or whatever. We've got 3 bulbs here. We've got a red light, a yellow light, and a green light. So I'm going to say red equals LED 15. That means, and you remember, that I'm going to control the red light with electricity from pin 15. Enter. We're going to do the other bulbs. Yellow equals equals LED 25. So number 25. Green equals LED 21. Again, you need to make sure that your red line is plugged into number 15, your yellow is plugged into 25, and the green is plugged into 21. If it's not going to work. Okay, enter. Now we're going to put in our actual code. While true, do you notice I got a capital T there? You do the same. Press enter. We're going to do very similar to what we did before. We're going to turn something off, make it wait, and then turn it off and make it wait. So I'm going to say red dot on, open closed, sleep for 0.5. Red dot off, sleep for 0.5. So I just told it, and you probably already know this, we're going to turn the red, remember red is the 15th pin, turn the 15th pin on, wait for a half a second, turn the 15 pin off, wait a half second. But this is a traffic light. We want to do all the lights. So now we're going to go on to the yellow. Yellow dot, oops, I spelled it wrong, dot on, sleep 1, yellow dot off, sleep 1. So I just said turn the yellow one, which is number 25, on, wait a second, turn the yellow off, wait a second. We're almost done. We're just going to add the green. Green dot on, sleep, we can say 2 seconds. Green dot off, oops, sleep for 2 seconds. So that's our code. The red turns on, waits a half a second, turns off, waits a half a second. The yellow turns on and waits a second. The yellow turns off and waits a second, and so on. I'm ready to try to run my code now. The odds are, not being mean, it might not work. There's a lot of things that could go wrong. That's why I said this was the hardest one. But if I want to run it, you remember we press the F5 button. It's at the top of your keyboard. It says F5. When I press it, it won't let me run it until we save it. So we're going to save it right the first time. If I'm period 2 and my name is Will, I already have a folder because I have my own Pi. I'm going to click into my folder. Look, I've got the old code that I wrote. But we're still going to write things the same way. Whatever your period is, whatever your name is, and then this one is a traffic light, right? So I might call it traffic. Period 2 Will traffic. As soon as I press save, it's going to try to run. I'm going to press save. The shell opens up and it's running it. Now, I have done this many times. So I don't see any error code. It's not flashing a big red message. That's because I put in my code correctly. And if I look at my traffic light, it is blinking. The red blinks for a little bit, and then the yellow blinks a little bit longer, and then the green blinks even longer. And it does it over and over again, just like a traffic light. If your screen looks like mine and there's no red, that means you typed in the code correctly. There's nothing wrong. If you don't see anything lighting up or it's doing something weird, it's because you have something physically wrong that you didn't plug in right. Maybe your resistor is not perfectly in line with that short little line going into the blue. Maybe you put in one of your bulbs backwards. Maybe you put on your little card upside down, and so all of your pins are in the wrong spots. Maybe your breadboard isn't upside down. Remember? See the picture? The breadboard's upside down. But it's going to be any one of those causes. There could be 100 reasons. Now, let's say you had something wrong with your code. Something really simple like this. Let's say I forgot to put the on in there. If I try to run the code, then just like before, it's going to say we're running it. Seems like everything's okay. But I get a message. And you might go, I don't know what's wrong with it, but I told you, look, it tells you what line there's something wrong. Line 9. Let's take a look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. In this line, if you take a look really carefully, I didn't add the period. So maybe you run it again and it seems to work, but then it says there's something wrong with line 12. Well, just start at the top and go down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and so on. Once you have gotten all of the red messages gone and this doesn't work, then that's the part that you have to fix. It's kind of both. It's the code that might be wrong, or it's the physical part that you put together that might be wrong. That's okay. You are going to try and try and try until you get it right. And when it does work, like I've seen a lot of my students, you will feel extremely happy and satisfied. So my biggest hint for you is don't immediately assume that you need help. You know what to look for. It'll tell you what line, right? And you know what to look for on here. Everything's got to be tight. Everything's got to be in its right place. So once again, once you get that to go, congratulations, you have done the hardest thing possible on the Raspberry Pi. Everything is easier from this point forward. So, good luck.